Everyone says AI makes you faster, but does it? AI has fundamentally changed the way we work, or at least that what everyone is shouting from the rooftops. I constantly see developers claiming their productivity has skyrocketed, talking about vibe coding and generating entire apps with a single prompt. I actually know one developer, no joke, who is currently working 2 full-time senior jobs simultaneously. He claims AI is the only reason he can catch up with the workload of both. It sounds like a dream, right? But my experience has been different. I've tried to integrate it into my daily workflow, and while it's powerful, I found that for a specific type of engineering, it actually gets in the way. Today, I want to break down exactly where AI saves me, where it fails me, and why I think vibe coding might be dangerous for your career. Let's start with the positives, because they are significant. The biggest win for me isn't writing code, it's reading it. I find AI incredibly convenient when exploring new code bases, especially when they're written in a language I'm not very proficient in. If you give me a Swift or Objective-C project, I'm good. But if I have to jump into a legacy PHP backend or an Android app with a lot of Gradle dependencies, that's where friction starts. With AI, I can literally highlight a block of code and ask, what is this part about? Why do I need this variable here? Why don't you use it like in all the other places? Why do you have this piece implemented differently from the other parts? What are the intentions of these parts? It's almost like having a senior developer, or okay, not a senior, maybe middle developer, sitting next to you and answering your questions. If I see an inconsistency in the explanation, I can challenge it. It turns the passive act of reading docs, which is quite tedious, I don't like reading, into a conversation that is more active and more interesting. However, because I don't know the domain well, I have to be very careful about the answers, some generic ones, the ones that I don't understand. Usually I push AI for specifics. The second area where, in my opinion, AI shines is environment and infrastructure set up in languages that I do not use daily. Let's say I need to write a quick script in Bash or Node.js. I can kind of write the logic or drive the logic, but it would be very hard for me to set up the environment. npm install, configuring Jest for testing, configuring TypeScript for testing, configuring Jest for TypeScript. That was quite painful for me. I don't know why. It's a headache. AI removes that friction. It helps me to scaffold a test environment quickly so that I can get to actual work. Once I start coding, using AI to fix linter errors and compile time errors, the ones that I don't understand that are specific to the language, is quite handy. It feels like good old Stack Overflow driven development, but you get the feedback like instantly. And it is very targeted to your specific problem. At the same time, it has the same trade-off. You cannot just copy paste. You have to read the solution and understand why it fixes the error. If you don't, you're just adding a technical debt that you don't understand. So it helps with learning and setup, but here's the controversial part. I find AI actually degrades my code base if I use it to implement new features. Why? Because it breaks my TDD flow. I practice test-driven development because it gives me confidence. I'm never afraid to push my code because I have a suite of automated tests proving that what I did is actually what I wanted to do. As Steve McConnell said in Code Complete, managing complexity is so important that software's primary technical imperative has to be managing complexity. For me, the main way to manage complexity would be going baby steps. AI doesn't do baby steps, it does giant leaps. Now let's look at Uncle Bob's rules of TDD. Rule number 2 states, write only enough of a test to demonstrate failure. When I ask AI to generate tests, it doesn't do that. It dumps a massive suite of tests covering edge cases I haven't even thought about yet. Often, testing behavior I didn't intend, it creates noise. Then there is rule number 3. Write only enough of production code to pass the test. If I ask AI to implement a feature, it usually over-engineers it. It gives me 10 lines of code where 2 would have sufficed. Tests are executable specifications. They define behavior. I don't want an AI defining the behavior for me. Writing the next failing test, I'm thinking about design. Design, to me, is the most creative and interesting part of software engineering. If I use AI to generate implementation, I'm delegating the design to AI, literally the best part of my job. Is there an exception? Yes, it's prototyping. If I'm investigating a solution or get stuck trying to find the right architectural approach, AI is amazing. I can say draft a solution using pattern A and then draft a solution using pattern B. Then I can look at them and compare, weigh the pros and the cons and pick the direction. But here's the important rule for prototyping. Once you have the prototype and you're fine with it, throw it away. Once the AI proves that the concept works, I delete the code. Then I implement every line step by step using TDD and making it so that I do understand what I'm doing. So to answer the question, does AI boost my productivity? Honestly, it doesn't boost my coding speed, but it decreases the time I spend searching, configuring, and studying. Does it help? Definitely. But we have to remember, AI is just a tool. Using it to replace the lack of thought is detrimental. It is detrimental to your project, your team, and what is more important, it is detrimental to your personal growth. The great danger of AI is that it lures you into a world of easy solutions without thinking. It creates an illusion of competence. If you want to survive in the world of AI, don't just learn how to prompt. Learn the fundamentals. Learn Solid, learn TDD, learn how to modularize your code base and how to have clear separation of concerns. Because AI can write code, but it is only you who can design software.